All right, y'all. So as promised, I will be helping you with 3 assignments. The first one is the exit ticket September 23rd. Now going to question number 1. It says 16x equals 320. So I notice that my coefficient is 16 because it's being multiplied by a variable. Now, if I want to make my coefficient into a 1, I have to do the inverse operation of multiplication, which means the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So 16 divided by one number will give us 1. Well, 16 divided by 16 is 1x, and 320 divided by 16 is actually 20. So this can be your answer, 1x equals 20 or x equals 20. Let's go to number 2. Number 2 says k divided by 13 equals negative 5. In other words, what number can I divide by 13 to get negative 5? So let's check. So I noticed that we have a coefficient of 1 over 13, but you don't see the 1, but it's there. So how can I get rid of that 13 and make it into a 1? So I noticed that we are dividing. So the inverse operation is to multiply. And you're going to multiply by 13. Why though? Well, there's always a 1 under a whole number. And when we multiply 13 times k, that's 13k, divided by 1 times 13, which is 13, equals negative 5 times 13, that is gonna be negative 65. But wait, I said that your coefficients have to be a 1. So what's 13 divided by 13? Well, 13 divided by 13 is 1k equals negative 65. There you go. So this can be your answer, or k equals negative 65 can be your answer. So again, that is why I have to multiply by 13, because if I multiply by 13, it's going to get us 1. Okay, let's go to number 3. Now number 3, there was an error. This should have said negative 16 plus n equals negative 13. So here, I notice that I have constants, negative 16 and negative 13. Now these constants, they want to be together. So I have to make sure that the negative 16 goes to the right side, because your variable, likes to be by itself. Because we're solving for that variable, so it has to be by itself. So if I have negative 16, then the inverse operation is plus 16. And I have to do the same thing for the other side. That is going to give us a constant of 0, and we're going to bring down our variable, which is letter n, equals. Now negative 13 plus 16, well, they have opposite signs, so I'm going to subtract and keep the largest sign, 3. N equals 3. Okay, let's go to number 4 now. Number 4 says 21 equals x plus 5. So same steps, class. I noticed that we have a constant of 21 and a constant of 5. Now, your variable likes to be by itself because we're solving for the variable. So I have to move the 5 to the other side. So if I have a plus 5, then the inverse operation is minus 5. Minus 5. So this gives us a 0. So 21 minus 5 is 16 equals, bring down the x. So it can be 16 equals to x or x equals to 16. Either one of them is correct. Now let's go to number 5. Number 5 says m minus 4 equals negative 13. So again, class, we have a constant of negative 4 and a constant of negative 13. And our variable is m. Now same steps. The m wants to be by itself because we are solving for that m. So that negative 4 has to go to the right side. So if I have a minus 4 or negative 4, the inverse operation is to add 4. Add 4. So on the left side, you're going to bring down the letter m equals negative 13 plus 4. Okay, so they have different signs, so I have to subtract, which gives us 9, and I have to keep the largest sign, which is negative. Alright, y'all, so now I am going to help you with your homework September 23rd. Now for this, if I remember correctly, there are actually 12 questions. I am not going to go over all 12 questions. However, I will be going over at least 5 problems. At least 5. So let's go over number 1. Number 1 says h plus 3 equals 17. Okay, my constant is a positive 3 and a positive 17. And my coefficient is the letter h. Now again, your h wants to be by itself, so I'm going to have to move the 3 to the right side. So if it's a positive 3, then the inverse is negative 3 or minus 3. This gives us a 0. I'm going to bring down the h because that's whatever's left over. And 17 minus 3 is 14. And you can check. 14 plus 3 equals 17. 17 equals 17. Correct. Now let's go over number 4. Now number 4 says 8.3 plus r equals 15. My constants are 8.3 and 15. My variable is just the letter r. Again, the r wants to be by itself because you're solving for the r. So I have to move the 8.3 to the other side. Now, it's a positive 8.3, so I have to subtract 8.3. Now, I have r equals, well, for this, I have to make sure I include a decimal and a 0. So I have to borrow from the 5, which gives us a 4, sorry. And then 10 minus 3, that's 7. Bring down the decimal. And then 14 minus 8 is 6. Now let's go over number 7. Now number 7 doesn't have, well, it does have a constant, which is negative 55, but it has a coefficient of 5. And we want to make sure that our coefficient is always a 1. So I noticed that the 5 and the t are being multiplied. So the inverse operation is division. So now you have to think, 5 divided by what number will give us a 1? Because we want a coefficient of 1. Well, 5 divided by 5 will give us 1t. And 55 divided by 5 is negative 11. Or t equals negative 11. Either one of these is correct. Now let's do number 10 now. Number 10. Now number 10 says r divided by 5 equals 3. So I notice that I am dividing. Right? I am dividing. So the inverse operation is to multiply by a number that will give us a coefficient of 1. And that number is 5. Let's see if that's true though. Let's see. I just want to double check. So there's always a 1 under this whole number. And let's see. 5 times r is 5r divided by 1 times 5, which is 5. And all of that should equals 3 times 5, 15. And there you go. 5r divided by 5, that's 1r equals 15. Or r equals 15. Either one of those is correct. Let's try another one. Number 11. So again, same steps. I notice that we are dividing, so the inverse operation is to multiply. So multiply. Now I'm going to multiply by negative 3 because that's going to give us a coefficient of 1. So let's see if that's true. So remember, there's always a 1 under this integer. So negative 3 times w, that's negative 3w, divided by 1 times negative 3, negative 3, and that should equals 5 times negative 3, negative 15. Did that give us a coefficient of 1? Well, let's see. Negative 3w divided by negative 3, well, that is just 1w equals negative 15. Or w equals negative 15. Either one of them is correct. And I'll let you all do number 12. So again, for this, if I remember correctly, you only need to do questions 1 all the way to question 12. All right, y'all. So for the last assignment that we're going to do is homework September 29, where you have to create an equation and find the solution. So let's see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7x plus 27. And all of that equals to 90. So I notice that my constant is the positive 27 and the positive 90. And my coefficient is 7x. Now for this, I need to ensure that my 27 is with the other constant. So if I have plus 27, then the inverse operation is minus 20, not 23rd, sorry, 27. Which gives us 7x equals, well, let's find out, equals 63. And the last thing is, well, I noticed that my coefficient has a 7, or is a 7, and it's being multiplied by the x. So the inverse operation is to divide by 7, because that gives us a coefficient of 1x equals to 9, or x equals to 9. Either one of those is correct. I'm going to help you all with one more, which is number 11. So number 11, again, same steps. You're trying to create an equation which has an equal sign. On the left side, well, first, you got to look at your key, right? On your left side, you have two blank rectangles, which is 2x, and you have 3 dark squares, so that is minus 3. And on the right side, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have 7 blank squares, so 7. So your equation is 2x minus 3 equals 7. Same steps. You have a constant of negative 3 and 7, and a coefficient of 2x. You always want to ensure that your constants are together. So if I have a minus 3, then the inverse operation is plus 3. Because that's going to ensure that we get a constant of 0, which is 2x, because you bring it down, equals 7 plus 3, 10. And the last thing is, well, I noticed that the 2 and the x are being multiplied, so the inverse operation is to divide. So 2 divided by one number will give us a coefficient of 1. Well, that would be 2. So 2x divided by 2, that's just 1x, equals 10 divided by 2, 5. Or x equals 5. Either one of them is correct.